Hi, my name is Andrea Klein, and I'm the founder of Breathe with MD. So often people ask, what is your story? They want to know how I came to know that I have breathing muscle weakness and needed ventilation assistance. Unfortunately, I can't tell my story without also telling my sister Cheryl's story. Cheryl was my middle sister, and she passed away from respiratory failure on my 33rd birthday. In her situation, at that time, all of our care emphasis was on loss of ambulation and cardiac issues. And so we really hadn't been informed that breathing issues could even be a possibility in our congenital form of muscular dystrophy. So we were just completely caught off guard when she went to the emergency room with symptoms of retaining carbon dioxide. That's the waste product of the air that we breathe. And it was at the emergency room and in ICU that she received inappropriate care for this. And instead of the situation getting better, it worsened. And she could never reach a point where her oxygen level and carbon dioxide level balanced out. And it was just a series of organ system failure. She developed pneumonia as well as sepsis, and she passed away. Well, obviously, we were just all completely devastated by this tragic, pretty sudden loss. And I, in particular, was really concerned because I have the same form of neuromuscular disease, and I knew that if she could die in this way, well, so too could I. But once I got past that initial grief and frustration and anger over her loss, I decided to turn to knowledge. I wanted to get in the know, as they say, as much as possible about this so that maybe I could better understand this and prevent this from happening. And so it was through an online search that I was led to read the books that Dr. John R. Bach wrote, many of his articles, many other scholarly articles on neuromuscular disease and breathing muscle weakness and respiratory failure. So it was through all of that that I developed some new knowledge about this and felt like I could be proactive. Well, at the time of her death, I had been under the care of a pulmonologist for several years. And we weren't doing anything for my breathing muscle weakness. In fact, I had been diagnosed through this local physician with severe asthma, which I would later go on to learn was really not the correct diagnosis. But what led me to find out I had breathing muscle weakness and needed ventilation assistance was actually a series of things. I had begun to develop worsening fatigue by the evening and had been waking up probably for 3 or 4 months off and on sporadically with these really strange headaches that I'd never had before, headaches that went away within anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes of being awake. And so we were continuing all my same care with just a additional frequency on things like pulmonary function tests and arterial blood gas analyses, and we were still doing annual sleep studies. Well, in 2013, we had that annual sleep study, and I got the call that this was a really bad sleep study. It showed that my oxygen saturation was dropping into the 70s. And I was kind of in disbelief. I thought, this is just one night of my life. How could this be? So I purchased this recording pulse oximetry device that works like a watch that you wear on your finger, and it records overnight. You download the data into your computer, and that's what I did. And I saw that no, this was happening routinely every single night. My oxygen saturation was dropping into abnormal levels. Well, at this point, the physician had contacted me and had advised that I needed to take supplemental oxygen, 2 liters in fact, while I slept. The plan at that point was to do that, repeat the sleep study in 2 weeks, see if there was any improvement. Well, based on all the reading I had done, I knew that that was non-negotiable for me. Using supplemental oxygen for someone that's already retaining carbon dioxide, which was what happened to my sister, actually worsens the condition. So I refused this. Later, I went back to see this physician and was told, okay, I'll compromise with you. No supplemental oxygen, but I'm going to prescribe CPAP. Well, that too, I had read, was not appropriate for someone who had difficulty getting air into and out of their lungs due to weakened breathing muscles. So I refused that as well, got a second opinion referral to a physician who specializes in breathing muscle weakness and neuromuscular disease, and it was through that visit with this physician that I learned that I needed to be on bi-level ventilation, BiPAP. And after that, my world was completely changed. It was almost immediate that I felt better. The fatigue was gone. Energy that I had not had in literally 2 years was back. So, in a nutshell, that is my story. I hope that this has helped some of you. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to post them and I'll try to respond.